Hi, welcome to this video. So in this video, I'll be taking us through the orders of operation in Tableau. So we have 6 of them. We have extract filters, the data source filters, context filters, dimension filters, measure filters, and the table calculation. So this 6 arrangement is based on the precedence in operation and implement each of these filters. And that's what leads us to the order of operation. So the first on the list will be the first to be executed before the other ones listed. So the first is the extract filters. So let's go to our data source pane. Now we are on this view where we have our data sets. And now this is a logical table because I've been able to join 3 tables together from 2 different data sources. And one is the bike share and the other one is the sample EU superstore. So I created this relationship here, which is a join relationship. It's a full join. And it joins the orders table with the sheets table in the bike share. I'll come out of the join window and I'll come to the physical layer. This is just relating these 3 tables together, not specifically joining it. So in other words, we have a logical table in here. So when we come to extracts, we must be able to switch from live to extracts. This is live connection. The extract filters can always and only be applied to an extract view, and we'll come to the side of it and click on the edit button here or word. Then when we click on the edit, it's going to bring out this pane and you see this arrangement in here. Make sure you have logical table selected here because I have a logical table I'm working with, else it will be a physical table. So now I've selected logical table, I'll come to filters, and this is where I'm going to apply my filter. Let's just base this on category because that's easy to understand. So now it's just giving me subcategory because I'm on all this. Okay, now that is a different category because I have my filter selected. So when I come in here, I can see category because it's now available. So I'll just select furniture. I want to keep furniture and I'm going to say setting. So it may not reflect here in the data pane. Let me drag this up. You may not see it instantly on category. You can see because we selected furniture, we would expect just this furniture, but it doesn't work that way. It only works when we want to implement or work on our sheet. So I'm going to create a different sheet and I'm going to drag category just to see the values we have in there. I'll drag it to rows. As you can see, it's just furniture we have listed. So the filter has taken effect. So that means, in a nutshell, extract filter comes first because we can only apply it to extracts. And data source filter, which is the second on our list, will be the second to be applied. We can apply this data source filter on both extract connection and live connection. So you can see why the extract filter takes precedence first. So on live, we do not have extracts implemented except the live, data source filter. But in extract, we have extra filters and data source filter. And this is the area here on the right hand side of the screen at the topmost right, you will see add, and that's where the data source filter can be implemented. So we have another level of data source, another level of filter there for an extract, but the first level for live. So it comes second in that order. So I'll click on that and I'll click on add. And here let's see if we can do it again for categories. We just like an overshoot. Yeah, we should maybe pick another one. So basically, we can look for region or another field to just implement that filter on. And there we go. We can just go for central and we go in here and we have this implemented. You can see on our extract, we still have this, okay, implemented. So we have second layer, but the second layer is only applicable to live connection. Let's go to this and you will see that this is only thing available for live connection. Okay, and it's also applicable for it because we see the same data source we're using. Okay, but extract is not available for live connection. So we've been able to filter out other regions. So I'll drag in region into the rows. So from the data pane, I'll bring in region. You can see it's just central. So that's the second level of operation. So let's quickly go to context filter and how that plays out. So for example, context filter, let's clear this. Context filter is the third because it's after the extra layer. We've done all our filter on the data source. Now we come in here and I'll be using it in comparison with dimension filter. So let's go to the sheet and clear this and just bring in maybe customer name into the rows, and we'll put in possibly sales or profits. Let's just use profits. Now we have profits in here, and let's just use sales as well. And I just want to know the topmost or top 10 customers, okay, based on their profits in each region. So now that I've created the view and have the profits and sales for each customer, I would like to know the top 10 customer based on the profits made. So I'll bring in customer to the filter, which is a dimension. So to create a dimension filter, you have to use dimension. If you want to understand the concept behind dimension and measures, please see my previous video. So rather than just clicking on top 10, I will just come to top, and based on the profit field, I will select the top 10. So profit, and that's it. So I have it in here, and based on the sum of profits, and I'm going to click apply and say okay. Now I've been able to create a dimension filter, which is the fourth order of operation. It's underneath context filter. So how does context filter come above this? Context filter will be illustrated as does. Now I have the top 10 customer, but I thought, let me have the top 10 based on the segment now. And I bring in segment in here, and I say just top 10 in consumer. Okay, and I say okay. And I'm wondering, I have just 6 of them, which is quite different because I've been able to apply this one, which is a dimension filter. So to override that, I will turn one of it to a context filter. I'll turn the segment one because I just want it to apply to the context, which is the segment top 10 in segment. So I would click on the drop down arrow and see apply to context, and there we have the top 10 in there regardless of my top 10 based on this one. Because what happened here was because my top 10 is only 6 out of my top 10 belongs to that segment. But however, based on what I've applied before, I just need top 10. Intuitively, if I say apply to context, it knows I'm saying, Tableau knows I'm saying I want top 10. So based on what I've applied before, customer name, this has been selected to be top 10, and it's now overriding what I have in there. So it has brought in more people into the loop. Let's go back and see those ones that are in the top 10. Let's look at, okay, let's decide to say maybe create one each for this. Create a calculated field and see if we can just identify those ones that are there. Discrete now, and maybe possibly put it in color, see what it's going to come up with, so that we can filter out those ones that are not there. Okay, so let's just try to see when we apply this to context if it's just going to bring everything. So basically, let's just leave it as is, and we notice that Randy was not in the list. This didn't solve the problem though, but we notice that Randy was not in the list, okay? But now Randy has been brought into our list. But as per top 10, customer only, we do not have Randy in there. So yes, that's how dimension and context filter are interwoven, and why context takes context from dimension and overrides what dimension has been created. So I'll go back to the list, and here we have measure filters and table calculation. Let's go with measure filters. So just like we have dimension, okay, we need to create measure filters from measures. So again, if you think about the concept of measures can only come, let's use something similar to this. Measure can only come after a dimensional variable. Let's decide to make this discrete and see. This discrete makes it have a categorical feature. Okay, but it just categorizes, it doesn't really add much value. But this is a measure, right? So when you think about the context of measure is always attached to a category, then you understand how this plays out. So let's bring discounts to our filter pane and say next, and we would want to know discount. Let's use sales rather, because we have sales in the loop. We just want to know anybody that has sales that are above 2,000, or let's say more than 1,000. So this is ordering it based on sales automatically. When you click this icon, it uses the last measure in there. So based on sales, we want to know, you just want to filter those ones that have above 1,000. Let's use it. You see all value, and just click next. So I can just say between 1,000 or at least at most. We can use special, can use all values, range of values. So we can only have range of values, at least, at most. So let's use at least for this. Let's say 2,000 and apply. You can see that this is the only one we have in there. And why is this coming afterwards? Because our filter for sales has been predetermined by the customer name. So filter on the customer name affects whatever sales is going to work on, or the sales filter is going to bring to the table. So this takes precedence. If we remove this, it's going to give everything. So whatever you filter on your dimension will give us whatever it is. So let's make it discrete instead and say maybe want discrete feature of the sales, and say turn this to discrete. It's going to say custom value because we have the list of the value in there. So we don't want anyone. Let's use the condition. Let's say by field and say sales greater than 1,000. And say okay. So it's now behaving like a discrete variable, and let's just bring it in here and drag to the pane and say because it's discrete, can behave like categorical. Regardless of what it is the customer name is being implemented first, which is implemented based on the filter. So this filter helps determine whatever the sales is going to work on. So it's not going to override what the dimension is bringing to the table. So we have, when we bring this out and yank that off, we still have the top 10 customers in here. So after removing the sales filter, you wonder that the list is like longer than it should be expected. Like we had top 10 before, so why is it that it's overridden? No, the issue is that because we use sales as a discrete value, and it has this categorical feature, and so it's categorizing a customer name, it's causing duplication. So rather than summing them up, is behaving like different points in the data set. So these are duplication. If you look at it, we have Susan Pisek at the top, and we have it. So these are repetition, but they are still around the top 10 customer, which is a dimension and context filter that takes precedence over it. To know this, if you bring this in, you will notice that it has returned to our top 10 customers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have the top 10 customers still reflecting. So that's it about measure filters. So it is being predetermined by dimension, whatever angle you see it from. If we apply sales, is an attribute, just like measure is an attribute of a dimension. So the order of operation takes precedence. So lastly, we go to table calculation. So table calculation let's use profits. So just as measure links to a dimension, table calculation leads to measure. So that's the way you can get around it. Without a measure, you can have a table calculation. So automatically a measure takes precedence over table calculation, just as dimension take over or takes precedence over a measure. So I'll just illustrate that briefly, but it's similar to how dimension and measure behaves. So I'll go to maybe profits and use that as an example. I'll bring profit in here and I'll do a quick table calculation and do possibly a running total. I can make it discrete so that it's visible. So if I bring this profit as a running total, is actually showing it because I have my text in this place in the text mark. I have my profits and sales in the text mark. So when I bring a copy of this into the filter pane by holding down my command, because I'm on Mac, and drag to filters and do my selection, whatever selection I make, it's because it's been determined by my sales. So that's the way it works. It can't go outside. It can't add more customers to the list. It can't add more customers to the list that are more than 1,000, whatever it is. So that's it about order of operation. So don't get it confused. It's all related and easy to understand. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.